Hello, and welcome to Econ 215, the General Education Economics course at CCU. I'm Delana Dura, and I'm one of the professors who will be teaching this course in spring 2018. This video will introduce you to some of the critical elements of the Econ 215 course, which are shared across all of the sections meeting in spring 2018. Please note, you will need to take a quiz on many of the items that you will learn in this video, as well as what's in the course syllabus, schedule of assessments, and on the Blackboard shell. You will need to take this quiz later in the week of your first week of classes. You will have to see your course's scheduled assessments for the exact date and time. This will also be covered the first time you meet with your professor on either Wednesday or Thursday of the first week of classes. Let's begin. Some of the important things that we'll be covering in this video are going to be about how to navigate the course's Blackboard shell, as well as some of the important documents that come along with this course, and some of the classroom policies and procedures. Let's begin with the Econ 215 Blackboard shell. First thing to note is where to find the course syllabus and something called the schedule of assessments. Now, if you're not a School of Business student, you may not have heard of a schedule of assessments before, but it is simply a course calendar that's essentially set in stone. Every date, time, every point value of every assignment that will be in this course is in the schedule of assessments, and we will go over that in a few moments. You can also find information about the CCU library, about how to subscribe to the Wall Street Journal, which I will look at later in this video, as well as some other good information. However, the bulk of the course is laid out below this line. For every single week of the course, there is a week folder, and inside that week's folder will be a separate folder for each of the 2 sessions that meet that week. So for instance, in week 1, first of all, you see an announcement that says you should not show up for class on session 1. If you're a Monday-Wednesday course, do not go to your Monday meeting the first week of classes for Econ 215. If you're a Tuesday-Thursday course, don't show up on Tuesday. Your first class will be on Thursday. Now what you're doing right now is watching that introductory video, so congrats. Then you'll find a separate folder for each of the sessions. When you click on the folder, it takes you into all of the important items that you need for that class session. For instance, every session will have an assignment sheet. It's a guide for everything you need to complete both before or after that class meeting. It will also include a reading guide, and I will show you that more in depth shortly. You'll also have a readings folder. If there are any videos or readings that you need to do before that class session, they will be in this folder. For instance, there's a link for this video, as well as some other readings that you need to have for this session 1. For any session where there are additional assignments, for instance, your first journal entry is due near the end of the first week of classes, you can click on those assignments here. In addition, for many of your sessions, you need to complete a reading quiz that is based on the readings that are covered in the readings folder, and those readings must be quizzed, or you must finish the quiz by the time that your class session starts. So if you'll notice that most of your reading quizzes will have a due date that is exactly the time of the start of your class. Now the only one that's different is this Econ 215 introduction quiz, which will be due at 11:59 p.m. at the evening of session 2, so either Wednesday or Thursday of the first week of class. Every single week folder is set up the same way. There will be 2 sessions, and inside each session's folder will be an assignment sheet, any announcements that are pertinent, as well as a readings folder, a reading quiz, and as we go into the semester, a link for the Wall Street Journal Make-Up assignment. Further details will follow. Now let's go look at the syllabus. Your course syllabus has some very important information, and I'm just going to highlight a few of those things before we go on. However, before you take your Econ 215 introduction quiz, you should read the syllabus in its entirety. In fact, at the top of the syllabus, it asks you in all caps, so please read it carefully. A few things to note. If you would like to meet with your professor during his or her office hours can be found by looking under this quick course reference box on the first page of your syllabus. For instance, My office hours are Tuesdays and Thursdays from 11:30 to 12:30 and Wednesdays from 2 to 5. As you go through the syllabus, you will find some of the general things that we are hoping to communicate to you throughout this course. One of which is, what are the outcomes that each student we hope will achieve by the end of the course? Read these carefully. These are showing you what we think is important in this class. There's also some information on the course organization. It will tell you what we're going to be reading, what the exams are, and in fact, this chart will show you exactly how the course is weighted. For instance, you have 3 exams. The first one is worth over 10% of your final grade, the second one over 16%, and the third one about 21%. You can see that those reading quizzes, you take 21 of them, and we do drop the lowest, you will be receiving 23% of your grade in reading quizzes. It behooves you to definitely do these on time. Another piece of information that's important are the required textbooks. We will use the textbooks in their entirety during this course. Please get them now if you don't already have them. Another important thing to note is that you do need to have an email address and you do need to check it regularly. Important announcements could be sent to you via email, so you do need to pay attention. Now, this is something I will say more than once in this video, and that is you are expected to review your schedule of assessments and the Blackboard shell at least each week. You cannot be successful in this course if you are not familiar with the schedule of assessments and you are not continually using the Blackboard course shell. Another important thing to note in your syllabus, if you do have a documented disability and that you have worked with the Life Direction Center to produce a certificate of accommodation, you do need to have that certificate of accommodation given to your professor. It does need to be in hard copy form, and it needs to be given to your professor as soon as possible. In some cases, your accommodations will allow you to have extra time on your reading quizzes, and your professor will need time to set that up. So please give this to your professor as quickly as possible. It's also extremely important that you understand the attendance policy and the tardiness policy. You are expected to come to class every single day. If you do not come to class, then you will be penalized in the sense that you cannot take that day's Wall Street Journal quiz and thus cannot receive the credit. Tardiness also has a rather high penalty. The Wall Street Journal quiz will be given at the beginning of your class session. If you are late, you will miss the opportunity to take that day's Wall Street Journal quiz. So be here and be on time. You are also expected to stay for the entirety of class. If you do leave early and you do not receive permission ahead of time to do so, you risk not receiving your points for that day's Wall Street Journal quiz. If you know that you will need to leave the class during the class session, please inform your professor ahead of time. You are not allowed to have your cell phone or your smartphone out during the class session, nor should it be hidden on your lap. It should be away in your bag or under your seat. As a side note, though the Econ 215 course is run through the School of Business and Leadership, one of our rules will be relaxed for Econ 215, and that is you do not have to wear business casual or business formal dress at all unless you are presenting. That information will be given to you later in the course, but otherwise you may wear appropriate clothing on all Wednesdays and Thursdays in this course. Another important note, one of the School of Business and Leadership rules that does apply to this course is the fact that no late assignments will be accepted. Full stop. If it's 1 minute late, it's late. So please do your best to finish assignments on time. Later in this syllabus, you will see a note about technology. If you have issues with your computer or connecting to the internet and it is your issue, that does not count as an acceptable reason to have a late assignment. You are still expected to finish the assignment on time. Planned absences. If you know you are going to be out, you need to inform your professor. There is a difference at CCU between an excused absence and an unexcused absence. An excused absence is one where either you have a verified, meaning documented, medical or mental health absence, so you need a doctor's note or a note from the campus health clinic, or an excused absence can be a CCU curricular or co-curricular activity. For instance, a field trip with another class, a musical ensemble performance, a sports team game, not practices, but games. Those are considered excused absences, since you know when you will have a game or a concert or a field trip, you are expected to let your professor know in advance as early as possible. All work that you are going to miss needs to be finished ahead of time, except for your Wall Street Journal makeup work, which I will show you shortly. One other note, a few times you will be asked to upload documents to Blackboard for an assignment. It is your responsibility to make sure that those assignments are actually successfully uploaded. So go back into your Grade Center after you think you uploaded and check to make sure that the document is actually there. We do think, of course, that academic integrity matters. Please read this information about the campus plagiarism policy. We take plagiarism seriously, including in Econ 215. Please see your professor if you have any questions about the academic integrity statement. You'll also note that we have a few heartfelt exhortations for you at the end of the syllabus. We do hope that you will approach this class as an act of worship, meaning that you will do it with all of your heart. We also would like you to get to know us as professors, and that begins with reading our short note at the end of the syllabus. Each of us has taken some time to put in something that's personally meaningful to us, and we hope that you will read it and get to know us as we go throughout the semester. Now let's look at the Econ 215 schedule of assessments. Remember, this SOA is essentially a course calendar, and it's set in stone. For every single class session, which is underneath the class number column, you will see the day, the date, the topic we intend to cover, any assignments that are due before class or after class, and the amount of points you get for each of those assignments. So for instance, class session 2, which will meet either on Wednesday or Thursday of the first week of classes. We will be covering topics like Imago Dei, self-interest, governance. You will need to read before class. Remember, all of your readings are before class. You'll need to read Genesis chapter 1 through 3. You'll read some notes and thoughts that were posted on Blackboard. You need to read the Declaration of Independence, which the link is on Blackboard. A brief excerpt from C.S. Lewis. You will need to attend class that day. That'll actually be the first time you meet in person. And then that night, if you notice, at 11:59 p.m., on either Wednesday or Thursday of your first week of class, you will have 2 assignments due. The introduction quiz that is based on this video, as well as a journal entry that you will do in Blackboard, and they are both due at 11:59 p.m. Going forward, every single time you have a reading quiz, it will always be due on Blackboard at the start of class. You will take your reading quizzes on Blackboard. They will always be timed. Once again, they will always be open note, open book, but always non-collaborative. They will cover the readings assigned for that class session unless otherwise noted. So for instance, your first reading quiz on session 3 will cover the material from sessions 1, 2, and 3. Each time you have to take a Wall Street Journal quiz, you will notice that you can receive up to 5 points for that. Your Wall Street Journal quizzes always cover the front page of the Wall Street Journal, and they cover the front page for the editions that occurred from your last class through the day before this class. So for instance, a Monday Wall Street Journal quiz will cover Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday Wall Street Journal front pages. A Tuesday Wall Street Journal quiz would cover Thursday, Friday, and Monday, and going forward. This is your schedule of assessments. You will notice that the total points add up to the total points in your gradebook and in your syllabus. The assignment sheets. The assignment sheets can be found inside any single session on Blackboard. So for instance, I'm in session 03, which would be in week 2, And at the top of that sessions folder, you find the Session 03 assignment. When you click on it, it should open your assignment sheet in a new window in Word. When you open it up, you'll find that everything on the assignment sheet is going to help you get ready for that day's session. So for instance, assignment for Session 03. First of all, you need to read the front page of the Wall Street Journal for the days that covered your last class session and any weekdays in between. Then it's going to tell you you need to read this particular document on Blackboard. It'll be in the reading folder for Session 3. These are the various questions you should be able to answer at the end of that reading, and you should be able to identify, define, and use these following terms. You also need to read a few pages in The Wealth of Nations, a book by Adam Smith, and there's actually a link here, and there's also a link in the readings folder for Session 3 on Blackboard. You need to be able to answer these questions by the end of that reading and understand these terms. Then the assignment sheet will tell you that before the Session 3 actually begins, so before your class begins the session, you do need to take your reading quiz, which is on Blackboard. It'll tell you that it's covering, in this case, it's covering the information covered in the Session 1, 2, and 3 readings. And then the assignment sheet also ends with by letting you or reminding you that your Wall Street Journal quiz will happen at the beginning of class, so you need to be prepared for it. These assignment sheets are one of the major keys to success in Econ 215. I suggest that you open this before you even start your reading. You then use this as a worksheet, if you will. Fill it in as you do your reading. Answer this first question, answer this question, and actually type in your answers, or print these out and write in your answers. And then have this completed assignment sheet in front of you before you sit down to take your reading quiz. If you do this, you will find that your success on the reading quizzes is very high, and you'll find that you are very prepared for each exam that occurs in the class. Regularly, professors in Econ 215 are asked the week or a few days before an exam if there will be a study guide. The answer is no, not a separate study guide, but your assignment sheets are your study guide. Use these as you prepare for each exam. Another thing that's going to be very important, as you've figured out in this course, is having a subscription to the Wall Street Journal. So I'm clicking over here on the Wall Street Journal link on your Blackboard shell. And you notice it gives you some instructions on how to sign up for the Wall Street Journal. It's $15 for the 15-week subscription to the Wall Street Journal Student Edition, or student subscription. You will follow these instructions to do this. Follow this URL, then it will take you to a page that looks something like this. It tells you that you can get your 15 weeks for $15. You then fill out information all the way down here. You will notice that one of the things you can do is actually select your referring professor. Once you put in the zip code for CCU, you'll be able to pick CCU from a list, and then various professors will be under here. Please choose your professor's name as you are filling out your subscription. Now you will notice you can get 15 weeks for $15 or 1 year for $49. You are only required to get 15 weeks. We do ask that you not sign up until the end of the first week of class so that your subscription does not run out before the semester does. One last note. If you live on campus at CCU, please only choose the digital subscription. We ask that you do this because the mailroom does not want to receive lots and lots of Wall Street Journals every single day. So please, we have been asked by the mailroom, please do not sign up for the print copy of the Wall Street Journal. Just sign up for the digital copy, and you can read it online. For those of you who live off campus, you can decide if you would like your paper copy or your digital copy. Now, for each single class session where there is a Wall Street Journal quiz, you will need to do the following. You'll need to navigate to the wallstreetjournal.com. I'm going to sign in. And once you're all signed in, right underneath the title of the Wall Street Journal, there are several links, one of which is something called Today's Paper. Click on the Today's Paper link. That takes you to another page where you still have to choose the US edition. And once you click on that, it opens up an e-reader. You're going to choose whatever date you wanted to look at. However, please note, no matter whatever one you click on, it's going to take you to the latest version, and then you can change the date after that. So click on one of these icons, opens up the e-reader, and if you notice, this is an exact replica of the print version of that day's paper. You are responsible for reading whatever is on the front page of the paper, except for the What's News column. I repeat, you do not have to know, or you are not responsible for the information in the What's News column. You are, however, responsible for everything else on the front page. We do not require you, for instance, to read all of every single article that starts on the front page. You are only responsible for what was on the front page. However, we encourage you to read the rest of the article. So you will be quizzed on the front pages of every Wall Street Journal that was published from the previous class through the day before the class you're in. Now, if you need to change dates, notice, just hover around the top, around sort of the toolbar or the bookmarks bar of your browser, and this menu will drop down. If you don't want to read today's paper, you can read Friday's paper, for instance. You pick the date you want to read. One other thing to note, you can only ever read 7 days previous. So definitely don't wait too long if you are doing a makeup version of the Wall Street Journal. One other thing to note on your Blackboard shell. In any given session where there is a Wall Street Journal quiz, I'm going to click on session 4. You will notice that there is an assignment link at the bottom of the session folder, and it's for the Wall Street Journal quiz. Only use this link if you were absent for that session and your absence was an excused absence. If you had an excused absence, this is the mechanism by which you do the makeup Wall Street Journal quiz. Obviously, you could not take that day's Wall Street Journal quiz, if you were not in class that day. What you can do is you then write a 1 to 2 page summary of every single article that occurred on the front pages for the days you missed. This Wall Street Journal makeup assignment is always due at the start of class that you return. Now this information is all in this description, and this description is under every single session where you would be having a Wall Street Journal quiz. Just don't forget to do this if you do have an excused absence. Okay, let's just go over the important takeaways that you got from this video and the previous video. Number 1, you now know where to find your professor's office hours. That's on the syllabus, and you can always email for another appointment if those hours don't work for you. If you do have accommodations for any sort of documented disability, please notify your professor as soon as possible. Another item, please don't be tardy. You might miss your Wall Street Journal quiz. Don't be absent unless you do actually have an excused absence. Remember that if you have an excused absence, that you can make up the Wall Street Journal quiz. The assignment is always available under each session that you might be missing. However, that assignment is due at the start of the class you return. There is no late work. 1 minute late is late. Please don't be late. Pay attention to the schedule of assessments. If there is a discrepancy between what is on a due date that is on Blackboard and what is on the schedule of assessments always wins, but please let your professor know if there are any discrepancies so that they can be taken care of ASAP. One other item that we haven't yet discussed, and that is something called Remind.com. Remind.com allows you to sign up with your cell phone number anonymously so that your professor can text the entire class when there is an urgent announcement. If you would like to be texted when there is an urgent announcement, like possibly a class cancellation or something like that, you do need to sign up at Remind.com. You can do that by following the link under the Remind area on your Blackboard shell. There will either be a link and you can follow that, or you can text this number with that code. Make sure that you don't follow this code you're seeing on your screen. Follow the link on your course because your course will have a precise link. Also remember to get your Wall Street Journal subscription at the end of the first week of classes. Finally, how do you succeed in this course? Well, let me just reiterate. Number one, do your reading, including the Wall Street Journal, before class every day. Use your assignment sheets as a fill-in reading guide. It is your study sheet. It is your study guide. It is the way to be successful in this course. Take your reading quizzes always before class. Remember, except in the instance of the first quiz about this video, every other quiz in this course will always be due at the start of your class time. Notify your professor before you need to miss class. Otherwise, come to every class and take notes, including notes by hand. Be engaged and respectful in class. We will sometimes talk about some things that might feel controversial to you, but do it with respect and enjoy it. Have fun. We're really looking forward to teaching at Econ 215. This is a course that the professors love to teach. We hope you enjoy it as much as we do. And please, when you have questions or concerns, please let your professor know as soon as you can. We wish you many blessings on this academic journey this semester.